What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Melly Rod channel. Today I have a beautiful and special guest, my old co-worker Brittney. Say hello, Brittney.
Hi.
So, me and Brittney met at CSUN. I was actually her supervisor. We were working at the Mercado. I was like, okay, I started to get to know her, and I was like, all right, here we go.
My favorite person to work with.
Don't tell nobody else. But yeah, I wanted to interview her because I know when we would work on Saturdays, we would talk a lot about everything that we were going through, and it felt like basically like a therapy session. I wanted to talk about all the things that she went through when she was when she was in college, and things that she probably didn't want to talk to anybody about. Hopefully she's able to open up about it today, and also talk about her small business as well. We're gonna be talking about those two topics. So are you ready?
Yes.
All right, and then like I said to you before, if you don't feel comfortable answering any of these questions, you don't have to. Okay? All right. So we're gonna start off with, what's your name, where are you from, and what do you do for a living?
So my name is Brittney Juarez. I'm originally from the Bay Area, a small town called Watsonville. Then I moved to Bakersfield, so I grew up there for a while. So then from both places, I say. Okay. And I'm a small business owner. I just graduated, so I'm looking for a job. I'm currently trying to move back home to Bakersfield.
So like you mentioned, you recently did graduate from CSUN, so congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you double majored, so what did you end up getting your bachelor's in?
So I ended up getting my bachelor's in family and consumer sciences, so Bachelor of Science, and then I also got a Bachelor of Arts in child and adolescent development.
Okay, damn, that's tough, you guys. If you guys didn't know, that's a lot of work.
Yes.
Because I couldn't do that. So now, what are your plans now that you have your degrees? What is the next step for you?
So I've always wanted to be a social worker, so that's one of the main reasons why I double majored in those two majors. I want to work with children, so like CPS and all the hard stuff that people talk about, but that's mainly what I want to do. Later on in the future, I think once I become a social worker and I get my master's degree, I want to own my own childcare business. So I want to own some centers in Bakersfield, and provide a safe place for kids, because I know that's something that's very much right now. I've been seeing so many stories of kids just being abused or mistreated, so I want to provide a safe place for kids. So that's something in the future once I'm older. That's the ultimate goal as well.
That's really sweet. That's cute. I'm like, I'll be a child too. I'll go to your center.
Take care of me. Take care of me, please.
Do you have snacks?
Always.
You did mention a little bit of what motivated you to study in the field and not other fields. So what is it that actually did motivate you to get into it?
I think growing up in a low-income area in Watsonville, I saw a lot of my old friends that I grew up with in the place they are right now. I mean, it's completely different. When I moved to Bakersfield, I moved to a quote-unquote nice area, and I got a lot of opportunities. And when I still follow them on social media and I see certain things, and I'm thinking if they had the same opportunities that I had growing up when they were little, I think it would have been different. So that's one of the main reasons why I want to work, I think, in child services, just to be that advocate for children that are going through abuse, that don't have the best situation at home. So try to help them through that and provide them with the resources I can, and just help in any way possible. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I think I wanted to start working with kids. And I mean, I have 6 sisters, so I think I've always enjoyed being around kids. I think I've known that ever since middle school, when I volunteered to be a TA. I worked at a special ed class, and I would help pre-K, and I really enjoyed working with the kids. But yeah, so that's one of the main reasons why I think I want to work with kids.
That's good. Yeah, I think that people don't really if you don't come from a low income class, it's such a difficult thing, because you go through so much when you're a kid, if it's emotional abuse or mental abuse, all that stuff, because you don't really get to see what's behind closed doors when it's your parents that they're struggling to make a fucking penny. But definitely I think a lot to do with low income families, children suffer through a lot. Even having a meal for school is what's difficult. So it's really good of you. It's really nice. Now, getting these 2 degrees wasn't all rainbows and cupcakes, and by that I mean it wasn't an easy process.
Oh no.
What were some of the challenges you faced when you were a full-time student that no one knew about?
I think working at the same time and then having my business, I think that was probably the toughest part. But I think also I've never been the best student. I've always been an average, I guess you can say, student, a B and an A and some C's sprinkled in there. So it's
here and there.
So like I've always struggled with just in general like retaining all the information, because I feel like a lot of like, you know, tests and doing a lot of things, a lot of like memory, and I've always had a hard time studying. Studying was one of those things that I just didn't enjoy doing, and I just felt like I would read it and I'd just forget everything I said. So I think that was one of the hardest things, just juggling everything, juggling my life at home. You know, I have a boyfriend, so juggling that, and then friends is just, it's a lot. And then my mental health, you know, I've struggled with depression in the past, so I think that was one of the biggest reasons why. Like, I think just having to motivate myself to like continue, you know, like, okay, you have to get this work done, so I have to do it. And I would have to like, you know, push myself, and sometimes I wait till last minute, but I always say my best work gets done last minute. So honestly,
all right, take that tip, you guys. If you're in college, wait till the last minute.
Wait till last minute.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
No. You'll be crying like at me.
You're like, yeah, Brittney told us.
11:59 turning in. I'll be like, that's it, I'm done.
Damn, I actually have done that before. But don't do that.
Yeah, no, don't do that. No. But yeah, I think that's one of the, just juggling everything, I think was probably the hardest part of it. And then like just struggling with my depression at the same time. It was just one of those things where I felt like I lacked so much motivation, and that was one of the things that I think like I've still consistently until now like I struggle with. Like, I think also the pressure of like being very hard on myself, that's also one that's been like very difficult. So I think that those are the main reasons.
The next question is, do you wish you could have had more help from your family when you were a full-time student? If so, how?
I do. My first year, I was grateful enough to be able to live in the dorms, so that was a lot of relief for me, like my first year. And my parents paid for my first year at the dorm, so they paid for that. I ended up paying in loans for my first year. I already kind of knew that I was gonna get out of school in debt and stuff. So after my first year, my parents stopped helping me. That's when, you know, they were like, okay, your first year, you know,
helped you enough.
Figure it out. Yeah, and I was lucky enough to meet some friends, and I was able to become roommates with them. So I think that shift of, you know, being like, okay, I have somewhere to live and someone's paying for it, and then being like, okay, like you're on your own. I think that was like, that's when I was kind of like, okay, like I wish my parents would still help me in some ways. And my parents kind of like, after that, they were just like completely cut me off. So I mean, there was like no help at all. So I kind of had to, you know, I worked at the Mercado. That's why I ended up opening my small business, because I needed that extra income. And like, I feel like that's one of the things I always say. Like, you know, there's a lot of people like, oh yeah, like this motivated me to open it. I have a passion, but honestly, college students struggle so much, and I just needed the extra income. It wasn't enough to be working at the school, you know, and being able to pay rent here in Northridge, and, you know, eating, like textbooks. There's so many things that go into it, and I think that was one of the main reasons. I'm not ashamed to say like I needed the money.
Right.
You know, I needed the money, but also it was like, I know my parents could have helped me a little bit more, but I think they just wanted for me to learn, give me that push, like, okay, you're on your own now. We got 6 kids at home, you know?
We still got other mouths to feed.
So I mean, I appreciate that, because honestly, I grew a lot from that. And well, I mean, I opened my business because of that. So it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, she's like, now I'm independent.
Yeah. Period.
I know you are the oldest and the first in your family to graduate from a university. Did you ever feel pressure from your family on being the role model for your younger sisters? If so, how?
Yes. Yes. So I've always felt like I had to be the best I can be because of that. I always felt like I had to do everything perfectly. Even in high school, like, you know, I wasn't the best kid, I guess you can say, but I mean, it was teenager thing. So I always felt like my parents would always be like, you know, like, you have your sisters looking at you, like everything you do, you know, they're gonna follow your footsteps. So it's like, I think I always had that pressure of just having to make sure, okay, like I need to make sure I do things right, so they do things right. Like, if that's how, that's not how it works. They're their own people. They're gonna do their own mistakes, make their own decisions. So I always, especially like being in a Latinx household, it's very difficult. Like, when you're the oldest, you're expected to do a lot. When my mom had triplets, so whenever she had
God damn.
Whenever she had triplets, it was really hard, you know. She had to do everything on her own. My dad worked. My sisters were young, so I mean, it was like on me to help her, you know. And
you're
like,
basically like the second mom.
Yeah, and I always say that. I'm like, yeah, I'm their second mom. I deserve a happy Mother's Day.
Facts. Like, where's my gift?
Yeah,
my flowers.
I remember in high school, there's some times where I would hear like them like crying all at the same time, and I would feel so bad, and I would wake up like at 5, go get one of them, before school started, and I would come and put them in my bed and literally just like sleep with them for like another hour, or just have them there, you know, to give her just some relief. Because I mean, I would see how she would struggle. I felt bad, you know. It's like she wasn't never like, oh, come get the child right now, like, you know, it was never forced. I just always wanted to help them. I can see how hard it was for her, you know. She went through like a small period which was like really hard for her to, you know, with all these kids. So it was all three of them, so I was able to, you know, at least provide a little bit of relief for her. But I think as they got older, you know, like they expected me to do more and like to babysit, and I feel like I was missing out on a lot of things. And you know, like my parents, they were really strict. Not with my sisters right now, but they were really strict with me, and I wasn't really allowed to do a lot of things. Like I couldn't go to the movies with a guy friend, and like, or even a group of friends. I wasn't allowed to. I think they wanted me to be like perfect and stuff like that in their own way, and that's why they would be so strict on me. But I think that just put in my head like, okay, like I can't make mistakes. I can't do anything wrong. I have to make sure what my sisters see is what my parents see. So I always had that pressure on myself just to try to be the best that I can, and that's even until now. I mean, you know,
it's
that's
like
even
never
till
ending.
Now. It's never ending. It's still till now, and I'm still like, okay, you know, my little sister, she just went off to college, so I'm like, okay, I mean, I think I did something right, but I know it's on me. I know it's also on her. It was on her own decision as well, you know. But I think it feels good knowing that I made some kind of impression. But it is really hard. I think also being a girl had a lot to do with it, and having to be like a certain way, how we're supposed to be, and it's always just been really hard being the oldest and trying to just be that person for my sisters. Having your own life, like they're like, oh well, you forgot about me.
Like, oh, you don't love me.
Oh, you don't love me anymore. Like, you know, like you feel like you have to be around all the time and like not have your own separate life from your family.
Right. So right before I graduated from CSUN, you had told me you were going to start a small business, which I was pretty excited for you to do. I know at first you were a bit hesitant. Oh yeah. You know, but now, like I said, look at you with a following of more than 16,000 followers on IG for Cattle Blossom. How does that make you feel?
It's just weird to like think about, because it's hard to not get stuck in the numbers and be like, 16 is nothing. Like, you know, like there's some people that think like that, and I'm just like, I sometimes think about it, I'm like, you know what, that's 16,000 people that follow me and like, you know, like love what I do, like my page, you know, even if they don't necessarily like purchase from me, they're still liking my posts, and that still helps me. So just thinking about it, that it's only been like 3 years and I was able to grow that in such a short period of time, because Instagram's hard. Instagram's hard to get a following, and I think I just feel proud of myself for doing something completely on my own, you know, and like having to manage everything, all of it, you know, like the graphics, the marketing, like having to learn all that. I did not know I would have to learn all those things. There's so many YouTube videos I watched, so many like blog posts of learning how to, you know, market my business, because it's like, I mean, I didn't know any of that. I'm a child development major.
Like, how do I go from this to that?
How am I supposed to know? Yeah, so I mean, I feel proud of myself. I feel really proud of myself for being able to grow in that short period of amount of time, and completely on my own. So
what is Cattle Blossom, and what does it mean to you?
The name Cattle Blossom, actually I came up with it with my friend. I was telling her like the different like words that I liked and stuff like that, and my favorite animal is a cow. So I always knew that I knew that I wanted to have something to do with like a cow. So I was like, okay, cattle. I like cattle. We'll see. So then my friend asked me like, oh, like, you know, like what other words do you like? I was like, well, I really like pink. You know, pink's my favorite color. That's my favorite color. And you know, so I was looking into like pink flowers, and then like a big Western like statement piece of like jewelry in the community. What the jewelry I saw was a squash blossom. So that's like a Native American type of jewelry. So it's like a very big necklace, and it's turquoise, or it can be white. So she said, well, what about like blossom? Like, you know, she told me, we were just kind of brainstorming, and then we kind of came up with Cattle Blossom. So then I was like, oh, I like the ring to that, you know, like that's a nice ring to it. And you know, there's also the blossom, the flower, the blossom flower. So then that's how I kind of came up with my logo and what I wanted. So I worked with like a graphic designer, and she basically made the cow design, and I told her that I wanted that that necklace on its head. So I had never seen that that design before. And then I added some of the blossom flowers. So that's like one of the, I'm very detailed.
You're like, it needs to be
very
cute.
detail oriented. So I was very specific, and I mean, she completely like exactly what I wanted is what she like made for me. So that's kind of where it came from. And to me, Kettle Blossom, it's like primarily like Western jewelry, but I also like the boho vibe to it. So so I always say it's like a little bit of Western and a little bit of boho. So it's a little bit of both. Most of what I sell is just jewelry, accessories, whether it's like necklaces, earrings, rings, bracelets. I also have like they're called wild rags, which you put it around your neck, and it's like a Western style. I sell belt buckles, so it's like very Western vibes. It's because I always really like to wear boots and stuff. So in Bakersfield, I started wearing all that stuff, and I really enjoyed how the look of it was. You know, it's like big earrings, like kind of like the ones I'm wearing right now.
Period. She's like, you're here.
And so I really always like the vibe of it, and you know, like I think it's really beautiful jewelry to me. I really like it.
So when you first started your small business, what were some of the things you wish you had known before getting started?
I think just not being hard on myself. I think that's one of the main things that I wish I would have known in the beginning, because I was really hard on in the beginning. I was so hard on myself. Like I was just like, oh, I'm not getting enough followers. Like I think it was at the time I was just thinking about that was like my main, like, oh, I need to get followers, I need to get more sales, I need to get this. And I mean, it was important, but I also wish I learned like about having a relationship with your customers. And that's something that that's like my main goal, is like having a relationship with my customers, because that builds loyal customers. In the beginning I wasn't really focused on them because I didn't know. I was just like, oh, it's just, you know, you just start and then you're just trying to get followers, and like, you know, I think I wish I have known that, like to build a relationship with my customers, because some of them, like, I become friends with them, or like, you know, like I'll talk to them sometimes. So I think that's one of the things I wish I would have known, just to build like my relationship with my customers since the beginning.
Who were the people that were there when you were having trouble with your small business, or will help you when you were stressed out with orders?
Definitely my boyfriend.
Shout out Daniel.
Yeah, definitely my boyfriend. He's always been my #1 supporter. He was the person that literally financed me to be able to start my business. He goes with every idea. I was telling him, like, I have this idea, and he's like, yeah, like, why not do it? Like, you know, he's always been that way. My boyfriend's always been that one person that's always been there, no matter what. Even like, there's been times, I mean, I think every small business has had those moments where they're just like, no, this is too much, like, you know, like, I think I'm gonna stop, like, you know, and he's always told me, like, no, like, you just need to keep going, like, it's there, you just need to put a little bit more work in it. My boyfriend's always just been my #1 supporter, and even like so I started subscription boxes with my business, and I could not do that by myself. You know, I have like over 50 girls subscribed, so it's a lot of repetitive doing different things, and he's always helped me every single month. He's there to help me to package orders, you know. So for a while he was actually logged onto my business, and he would reply to people when I was at work. So when I would be working, he would be replying to
He'd be like, hey girl.
No, literally, no.
Hey girl, thank you so much for subscribing.
No, literally, I would show him, be like, this is what you're gonna be saying. You're gonna say like, hey love, hi girl. So if you ever bought from me in the beginning, you might have been talking to my boyfriend.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, so like, I mean, because I worked in the afternoon, so I couldn't really reply to a lot of people, and he would be off. So he would work mornings, and then I would work afternoons, so he would get on and like reply to anyone that was trying to buy anything. And that was when I was strictly through DMs only, like people were purchasing, so I would always get DMs, and he would be the one responding sometimes when I couldn't. So yeah, he's always been there to help me, and even there's even been times where I'd be at work and he'd packaging my orders, you know, and like getting them ready to ship out, and he's always been so supportive. He's one of the people that I'm the most thankful for that, because he's always motivated me. He's one of the biggest reasons why I have Cat of Blossom. So
that's really sweet. Shout out Daniel.
Yeah.
Where the ring at though? Yeah, that's really sweet. That's really sweet. I think with a lot of small businesses, a lot of people that are in relationships, it's always the partner that's always helping them, because it's true. Like sometimes you feel like, oh, like I'm not gonna make it, or I'm not gonna do this or that. No one's gonna be supporting me. But it's like, if you have the right people around you, or the right person beside you, you're gonna do great things. You know, you just can't put yourself down just because you don't see like, oh, I don't have that much followings, or you know, you don't see it. But it's always important to make goals. Like that's what I do. Like if I make goals every month, okay, well, I'm gonna do this and this and this, and then in the year be like, okay, well, all this thing, like I progressed so much, you know. So it's always important to have people around you. So
definitely.
From here on out, what do you hope to see Cattle Blossom do in the future?
That's a big question. I think just to continue growing my loyal customers. That's one of the biggest things of a business, of having those loyal customers. Like, it's not always just about gaining followers, because followers don't equal sales. That's something I learned, that it doesn't equal sales. What you need to do is just, you know, like build your loyal customers that, you know, trust you. And it's always hard with small business for people to trust us. They'd rather like go get something that's gonna get to them in 2 days.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the biggest things, like just growing my, you know, my followers and my loyal customers. I also just see it like, you know, evolving, maybe including some new different type of jewelry. Like, you know, we were talking earlier about how the Western style is kind of changing. My demographic for my business is mostly Latina women that are into Western, and they're wearing a lot more like gold jewelry, you know, like that like type of Mexican style jewelry. And I hope to maybe like include like a small like collection or like a sister business into Cattle Blossom. So maybe something like that, to be able to offer two different sides of Western jewelry. So I'm hoping maybe to expand to other things, and to eventually like maybe include clothes. Like, that's something I've always wanted to do, but I know it's really hard.
Yes.
Clothes is really hard because you have to have a range of sizes. You know, like I don't want to be that boutique that has from small to large. Like, I don't, that's not what I want. I'm not a small to large type of girl. Like, I need to be able to fit in my own clothes. So I think that's one of the hardest things of clothes, that you just need to you know, you have to offer plus sizes. That's something that I would want. So maybe in the future, hopefully having clothes, that's something that I've always wanted to do. I really like Western fashion, so I've always been really into it, and I hope that maybe that's something I can expand into the future.
I'm excited for that. I'll be right there and be like,
I want to see you in some boots.
Howdy, y'all. Period. The last question I have for you is, if you can give a tip for first generation college students, what would it be? And a tip for a person who wants to start their own small business.
A tip I'd give to like a first generation is, don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself, because that's something that I always had in the beginning. I'm like, okay, you know, I'm gonna do this. I'm the first one. I need to make sure I do like the best I can, you know, go to the top, get straight A's. Like, that was like my mentality in the beginning. And I mean, I knew I was never a student like that, you know. So I think just that, and knowing that you belong. I think that's was one of the biggest things that as a first generation, like feeling like you don't deserve a seat there, or you don't deserve to be there, or
I felt that too.
So it's like, I feel like as a first generation, just know that you belong, and that you're the first in your family, and that's already something to be proud about. Just because you're there, it's something to be proud about. So I think that's my biggest tip to a first generation college student. For a small business owner, I think just taking that leap of faith. I think that's like the biggest thing, because I've had a lot of girls tell me, you know, like, I want to open a business, but I'm scared, like no one's gonna buy anything from me. And honestly, if no one does, it's okay. Like, you're
still doing it.
It's okay. You're still doing it. Just like continue working hard, and like post. So that's how you get post every day. Post on your stories, you know, and just stay consistent. But I think just staying consistent, I think, is one of the biggest things. Staying consistent is the biggest thing. And I actually have on my business page, I have a bunch of tips on there. Where I would post on Instagram, like, you know, is there any businesses that need any advice? And I answer questions like, where do I get my packaging? Where do I get this? And I would tell everyone where I'd get anything from. Nice. You know, because I want other people to do good as well. I mean, I'm not gonna be gatekeeping nothing.
Right. No, you're not. I'm not gonna tell you where I get my stickers from.
Literally, because there'd be girls that would tell me, you know, like, you know, no one wants to tell me this, or no one wants to really like tell me where they get this from. And I'm like, honestly, I mean, I have my business, and I have my customers. You know, she's gonna develop her own customers. You know, it's not like she's stealing from me. Right. You know, so so on my business page, I have a whole highlight dedicated to just business tips and things that I use in my business on a daily basis. So I think just staying consistent and just taking that leap of faith, like how you said.
So if you guys are planning on opening something, hear her out, all right? And go to her page to see.
Please, Cattle Blossom.
Yes.
At
Okay.
Cattle Blossom.
If you want to order, go ahead.
Yeah. Period.
There's no percentage off, because you gotta support small businesses. Okay, that's how I think. Exactly. But yeah, you know, follow her on the Cattle Blossom and also on her personal page. But yeah, I just want to give you a huge thanks for, you know, having this time with me. I know you're, you know, in the middle of moving from here to Bakersfield, so I appreciate you taking this time and sitting down with me and talking about, you know, the things you went through and the great things that are coming up for yourself. So
I'm glad I met you in my journey here.
Period. And
I'm glad I met you. Yeah, I mean,
there's gonna be great things coming up, so for both of us. So I'm excited.
Yes.
And then from 5 years, we're gonna do 10, and then 15, and then
yeah.
Just make sure you invite me to your
Hopefully
wedding.
by then I have the ring.
Period. Like that. Just letting you know, we're still missing it. Nah, but for real, I mean, I wish you both the best too.
Thank
you and Daniel.
you.
And yeah, if you guys can, just go support. Go purchase something from her shop. Like, it's really pretty. I mean, if I was a little more girly, I would. But you know. Once again, thank you so much. Is there anything you want to say before we end this video?
Just follow my page, and hopefully you have some more new things coming. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Follow Cattle Blossom.
Period. Thank you to everyone who's watching this video. I hope this video helps out some other people that are starting a small business or are a first generation student. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy, and much love to you guys. Peace.